Howdy. Welcome to SciTech Daily. Hopefully, the chickens are a little bit calmer than they just have been before because there has been some issues between them, obviously. MIT's new technology can probe the neural circuits that influence hunger, mood, and disease. MIT engineers have developed the technology to study the interplay between the brain and digestive system by using fibers embedded with sensors and light sources for optogenetic stimulation. The technology has been demonstrated in mice, where manipulation of cells in the intestine led to feelings of fullness or reward seeking behavior. This opens up new possibilities for exploring the link between digestive health and neurobiological conditions such as autism and Parkinson's disease. Unraveling connections between the brain and gut. MIT engineers. I don't know if there's like any MIT philosophers. It would be interesting if something like this would exist. MIT engineers have developed a new optogenetic technology that can manipulate the neurological connections between the brain and the gut, potentially offering insights into the links between digestive health and neurological conditions. The brain and the digestive tract are in constant communication, relaying signals that help to control feeding and other behaviors. This extensive communication network also influences our mental state and has been implicated in many neurological disorders. MIT engineers have designed a new technology for probing those connections, using fibers embedded with a variety of sensors as well as light sources for optogenetic stimulation. The researchers have shown that they can control neural circuits connecting the gut and the brain in mice. In a new study, the researchers demonstrated that they could induce feelings of fullness or reward-seeking behavior in mice by manipulating cells of the intestine. In future work, they hope to explore some of the correlations that have been observed between digestive health and neurological conditions such as autism and Parkinson's disease. These flexible fibers, which are embedded with sensors and light sources, can be used to manipulate and monitor the connections between the brain and the digestive tract. Yeah, ain't that exciting? Using light. The exciting thing here is that we now have technology that can drive gut function and behavior such as feeding. More importantly, we have the ability to start accessing the crosstalk between the gut and the brain with the millisecond precision of optogenetics. And we can do it in behaving animals. Behaving animals? Says Polinka Anigeva. The Madolo S. Salapatas Professor of Material Science and Engineering, a Professor of Brain and Cognitive Science, Director of the K. Lisa Young Brain Body Center, Associate Director of MIT's Research Laboratory of Electronics, and a member of MIT's MC Govern Institute for Brain Research. Anikeva is the senior author of the new study, which was published on June 22nd in the journal Nature Biotechnology. The paper's lead authors are MIT graduate student Atharva Sarasbudhe, Duke University postdoc Laura Ruprecht, MIT postdoc Sirma Orkuk, and former MIT postdoc Durar Kudyev. The brain-body connection. Last year, the MC Govern Institute launched the K. Lisa Young Brain Body Center to study the interplay between the brain and other organs of the body. Research at the center focuses on illuminating how these interactions help to shape behavior and overall health, with the goal of developing future therapies for a variety of diseases. There is continuous bi-directional crosstalk between the body and the brain. Like I said many times, energy always goes by both directions, and energy is information. Anikeva says, for a long time we thought the brain is a tyrant that sends output into the organs and controls everything. We thought the brain is a tyrant. Yeah, that's a funny sentence. But anyway, but now we know that there's a lot of feedback back into the brain. And this feedback potentially controls some of the functions that we have previously attributed exclusively to the central neural control. As part of the center's work, Anikeva set out to probe the signals that pass between the brain and the nervous system of the gut, also called the enteric nervous system. Sensory cells in the gut influence hunger and satiety via both the neuronal communication and hormone release. Yeah, so we probably have to think now again that there is this kind of energy or information exchange which transmutates into matter, hormones. Untangling those hormonal and neural effects has been difficult because there hasn't been a good way to rapidly measure the neuronal signals, which occur within milliseconds. To be able to perform gut optogenetics and then measure the effects on brain function and behavior, which requires millisecond precision, we needed a device that didn't exist. So we decided to make it, says Saraj Bude, who led the development of the gut and brain probes. The electronic interface that the researchers designed consists of flexible fibers that can carry out a variety of functions and can be inserted into the organs of interest. They create the fibers. Saraj Bude used a technique called thermal drawing, which allowed him to create polymer filaments about as thin as a human hair that can be embedded with electrodes and temperature sensors. The filaments also carry microscale light-emitting devices that can be used to optogenetically stimulate cells and microfluid channels that can be used to deliver drugs. The mechanical properties of the fibers can be tailored for use in different parts of the body. For the brain, the researchers created stiffer fibers that could be threaded deep into the brain. I think this must feel really odd. But anyway, for digestive organs such as the intestine, they design more delicate rubbery filaments that do not damage the lining of the organs but are still sturdy enough to withstand the harsh environment of the digestive tract. To study the interaction between the brain and the body, it is necessary to develop technologies that can interface with organs of interest as well as the brain at the same time, while recording physiological signals with high signal-to-noise ratio. Saraj Bude says, we also need to be able to selectively stimulate different cell types in both organs in mice so that we can test their behavior and perform causal analysis of these circuits. The fibers are also designed so that they can be controlled wirelessly using an external control circuit that can be temporarily affixed to the animal during an experiment. This wireless control circuit was developed by Urguk, a Schmidt Science Fellow, and Harrison Allen, 22, who were co-advised between the Anikeva lab and the lab of Anantha Chandrasekhar, Dean of MIT School of Engineering in the Vannevar Bush Professor and Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Driving behavior. Using this interface, the researchers performed a series of experiments to show that they could influence behavior through manipulation of the gut as well as the brain. First, we use the fibers to deliver optogenetic stimulation of the part to a part of the brain called the ventral tegmental area, which releases dopamine. They placed mice in a cage with 3 chambers. When the mice entered one particular chamber, the researchers activated the dopamine neurons. The resulting dopamine burst made the mice more likely to return to that chamber in search of the dopamine reward. Then, the researchers tried to see if they could also induce that reward-seeking behavior by influencing the gut. To do that, they used fibers in the gut to release sucrose, which also activated dopamine release in the brain and prompted the animals to seek out the chamber they were in when sucrose was delivered. Next, working with colleagues from Duke University, the researchers found they could induce the same reward-seeking behavior by skipping the sucrose and optogenetically stimulating nerve endings in the gut that provide input to the vagus nerve, which controls digestion and other bodily functions. Again, we got this place preference behavior that people have previously seen with stimulation in the brain, but now we are not touching the brain. We are just stimulating the gut, and we are observing control of central functions from the periphery. Zaraj Bute worked closely with Ruprecht, a postdoc professor of Diego Borges group at Duke, to test the fiber's ability to control feeding behaviors. They found that the device could optogenetically stimulate cells that produce cholecystokinin, a hormone that promotes satiety. When this hormone release was activated, the animals' appetites were suppressed, even though they had been fasting for several hours. The researchers also demonstrated a similar effect when they stimulated cells that produce a peptide called PYY, which normally curbs appetite after very rich foods are consumed. The researchers now plan to use this interface to study neurological conditions that are believed to have gut-brain connection. For instance, studies have shown that autistic children are far more likely than their peers to be diagnosed with GI dysfunction, while anxiety and irritable bowel syndrome share genetic risks. We can now begin asking, are those coincidences? Or is there a connection between the gut and the brain? Really? I think there is. It's one body. The gut feeling and stuff like that, this shouldn't be anything new. And maybe there is an opportunity for us to tap into those gut-brain circuits to begin managing some of those conditions by manipulating the peripheral circuits in a way that does not directly touch the brain and is less invasive. Yeah, don't need any wires in the brain. Yeah, that's very interesting. Multifunctional microelectric fibers enable wireless modulation of gut and brain neural circuits. So now, as we have been talking now a bit about the signals, electricity and stuff like that, I still wanted to show you another article quickly, which I came across on BBC News, obviously. Weather satellite captures lightning spectacle across Earth. Spectacular movies of lightning spreading across the Earth have just been released by the European Weather Agency EUMETSAT. They were made by a new instrument that was placed 36,000 kilometers above equatorial Africa in December. The imager, once fully commissioned, will become a key tool for forecasters as they track the emergence of violent storms. Lightning often precedes heavy rain, hail, and even big gusts of wind. Phil Evans, the Director General of EUMETSAT, described the movies as fantastic. The Americans have had an instrument like this over their part in the world for years now, but this is the first one for Europe and Africa. Yes, I know, because I have seen it. Collège du Page, or what's the name? Our imagery is more sophisticated in terms of resolution and performance, so there is a lot of excitement about how this imagery can be used. So I don't have too much time now. I have watched this one. On June 12th, the image should track the lightning's warm across the UK. Let's try if this works like this. So that's this imagery over England. And I think England is here. And that's France and maybe Spain. Now that looks really interesting. And I've been watching this already. And I think I've found something interesting here. Yeah, there's actually a much bigger one as well. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you this one thing I found here. I just really noticed some other things too, but let me show you what I found from this video. So that's a screenshot from the video. We are over England. And I want to talk about this thing. I try to enhance it a little bit. And I don't know if this color is the correct color. Should it be yellow or should it have another color after all? And I don't know where it's emerging, where it's coming from, where it's going to. Maybe it originates from this spot here in the center. I don't know. It could also be that it's coming from here. Maybe we are looking at a blue jet or something. It appears to have some kind of a spiral shape. But now as I just watched the video once again, I spotted some other things. Maybe I have to make some more screenshotting. And the blue jets, let's go to Wikipedia, which is the easiest. Upper atmospheric lightning. The blue jets. Maybe they captured one of these over England. I'm not too sure, but maybe. But anyway, now we have just been talking once again about electricity and energy going both ways. Yeah. There might be much more to figure out about the gut and brain connection. Maybe those MIT people should talk to some philosopher or whatever else person who has probably a different point of view to the whole thing. Maybe they could learn something. But anyway, thanks. Bye.